questions.
All right, here we go. Question period.
The Prime Minister was elected on a platform where he said that American tariffs were an existential threat to Canada. But nonetheless, this weekend, journalists asked him if negotiations are continuing. And he said, who cares? He said, who cares? I don't care. He doesn't seem to care about aluminum sector or forestry workers. Is that really the message he wants to send to Quebec workers, that he doesn't care? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, last week, the member for Prince George Peace River Northern Rockies took up MAGA accusations stating that immigrants slowed down the Canadian economy. I think Canadians deserve to know if the leader of the opposition approves of those comments. Mr. Speaker, my question was for the Prime Minister, who is here in Ottawa, who said yesterday, when asked about jobs for people in aluminum, steel, forestry, and many other sectors who are suffering because of the Prime Minister's failures and his broken promises. And he said, who cares? How is it that the Prime Minister doesn't care about the fact that people are losing their jobs in Beauce, in the Saguenay, and elsewhere in Canada because of his failures? How is it that all he had to say was ask, who cares? The Honourable Government House Leader. Speaking of serious matters, Mr. Speaker.
In English. Last week, the member for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies repeated MAGA claims that immigration and immigrants are a drag on the Canadian economy. I think Canadians want to know from the Leader of the Opposition.
Not from the top, but let's take a little pause and let the noise level drop a bit, and may the House Leader may continue.
So the member said, repeated MAGA claims that immigrants are a drag on our economy. I think Canadians want to know whether the Leader of the Opposition approves this kind of language, and will he sanction the member, yes or no?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister claimed during the last election that the U.S. tariffs were an existential crisis, and I quote, requiring that he immediately be elected to, quote, negotiate a win and get a deal by July 21st. Well, a few days ago, he was asked about the state of those negotiations, and he said there are no issues of importance to discuss. In fact, he said, who cares? Mr. Speaker, we care. We care about the workers who've lost their jobs and don't have paychecks to make their mortgage payments. Why doesn't he care?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Monsieur le Président, on trouve un peu que ça dérape.
Mr. Speaker, things are getting out of hand on the other side of the House.
Repeating of these MAGA claims came in the wake of the member for Calgary-Midnapore questioning the Prime Minister's loyalty to Canada. I think we can all agree that those are comments that no Canadian can take seriously. My question is, does the Leader of the Opposition take them seriously? If he doesn't, which he must surely not, would he tell the House and would he tell his member to apologize for those comments?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister already apologized to President Trump. Yes, exactly. It was one of the many areas where he backed down and capitulated after claiming that he would be elbows up. He promised he'd have a deal by July 21st. No deal. Promised to negotiate a win. No wins. Mr. Speaker, he promised elbows up. Elbows are gone. And now, when he's asked about the state of the talks, he says, who cares? Why should he care? Days after he met with the president, Brookfield got an $80 billion contract with the White House. Is that really what he cares about? Does he not care about the hard-working Canadians that are counting on him to keep his promise?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Bien sûr que le Premier ministre se soucie.
Of course, the Prime Minister cares about the well-being of Canadians, our workers and industries. And that is why we are carrying out constructive negotiations with the U.S. But, Mr. Speaker, things are getting out of hand on the other side. The member for Calgary-Midnapore, even this very morning, was questioning whether the Prime Minister is loyal to Canada. Can the leader of the official opposition sanction her for her comments? Or does he agree?
Prime Minister, who said, "Who cares?" when he was asked just over the weekend about the failure to keep his promises on trade since he took office. Not only has he failed to get the promised deal, but American tariffs on aluminum, autos, and steel have doubled. On forestry communities, they have tripled. The Prime Minister says, who cares? All of us on this side of the House care about the communities that are being emptied out in our forestry, the steel workers in Hamilton who don't have jobs to pay their mortgages. We care about those people. Why doesn't he?
The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-U.S. trade relations.
Mr. Speaker, just because the Leader of the Opposition keeps repeating the same line over and over again doesn't make it real. Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition knows very well that our government was elected to defend Canadian workers and the Canadian economy. That's exactly what we did in a budget that was tabled in this House of Commons. The opposition decided not to support Canadian workers and provinces and territories and sectors under attack by unfair American tariffs. Mr. Speaker, we're going to continue to support Canadian workers and the Canadian economy and negotiate a deal with the United States.
The Honourable Leader
Which you haven't done.
Negotiate a deal with the United States, he repeats the same promise that the Prime Minister has been breaking for the last 8 months. He said he would have a deal by July 21st, no deal. He said he'd negotiate a win, no win. He said he wouldn't back down, all he's done is back down. He said he'd be elbows up, his elbows are missing, and now when he's asked about the fate of these thousands of jobs that rely on him keeping his word, he says, who cares? Isn't it clear by now that even days after he met the president, only Brookfield got the $80 billion deal? Is that what he meant when he promised he'd negotiate a win?
Honorable Ministre des Finances.
Mr. Speaker, we care so much that...
On va recommencer là parce qu'on entend.
Let's start over. I can't hear anything. Let's just take a moment here. We'll let people calm down. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, it's only Monday. Look at how excited they are because they know there's good news in the budget, Mr. Speaker. That's what I see. Mr. Speaker, there's enough good news to go to Regina, to go to Winnipeg, to go to Moose Jaw, because you know what, Mr. Speaker? The people in Winnipeg understand you need to invest in infrastructure. The people in Moose Jaw understand you need to invest in our military. The people in Regina understand we need to invest in housing, Mr. Speaker. Canadians understand that we need to invest in this country. On this side of this house, we will always fight for Canadians because every day is a good day to fight for Canadians.